Welcome to this Times Techies webinar. I'm Sujit John, and I have with me my colleague Shilpa Fadnis. The two of us will moderate the discussion. We hope you and your families are staying safe and doing well. Our discussion today is on technology drivers for creating a mature 5G device ecosystem in India. And we are having this in association with Mediatek. Mediatek is a Taiwanese fabless semiconductor company. It's the world's fourth largest chip maker. It provides chips for wireless communications, high-definition television, smartphones, tablet computers, navigation systems, and consumer multimedia products. Market research company Counterpoint, and we have Tarun Pathak today from Counterpoint on our panel. Counterpoint estimated that Mediatek became the biggest smartphone chipset vendor with 31% market share in the third quarter of 2020, helped by growth in key regions like China and India. And this lead over Qualcomm continues. On our webinar, we haven't yet had a full-fledged discussion on 5G so far, so we are glad we are having one today. All the telecom operators are doing 5G trials, and we should be seeing the first major rollouts next year. To discuss how to build a 5G ecosystem in India, we have with us today 4 seasoned professionals.
We have Anku. Anku is the Managing Director of Mediatek India. Anku heads Mediatek's pan-India operations with offices in Noida, Bangalore, Mumbai. Anku has established Mediatek as a key player in the Indian market and helped democratize the face of Indian mobile ecosystem. He holds multiple patents in the field of mobile telephony. He brings over 25 years of experience having worked with the software product industry and in the semiconductor space. Prior to this, he worked with technology firms like Sprint, Riverrun, Network Program. Welcome, Anku.
Thank you.
We have Kuldeep Malik. Kuldeep is the Director of Corporate Sales at Mediatek India. Kuldeep has more than 8 years of experience in product management, marketing, and business development. He's responsible for the promotions of Mediatek's product as well as managing the relationship between the company and various stakeholders in India, including customers, partners, and operators. Welcome, Kuldeep. We have Tasleem Arif. Tasleem is Vice President and R&D Head of OPPO India. Tasleem has laid the cornerstone of OPPO's first India R&D office. Before OPPO Mobile, he was with Samsung India with over 17 years of experience. He gradually moved up the organizational ladder, eventually being promoted as the head of the Make for India team and hardware and software planning team. His research portfolio includes over 20 patents and more research papers. Welcome, Tasleem.
And we have with us Tarun Pathak. Tarun is Research Director at Counterpoint Research. Tarun has 10 years of work experience with a key focus on the evolving mobile device ecosystem with specialities in emerging markets. He helps clients to navigate through the rapidly changing technological trends. As a telecom analyst, he has been quoted extensively by leading media platforms, including TOI. Welcome, Tarun.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Those who are viewing this can send in questions through the Facebook comment box. Shilpa and I will put them to Anku, Kuldeep, Tasleem, and Tarun. Anku, let me start with you. Product life cycles are getting shorter. New technologies are coming in. 5G is coming. To enable the next level of product evolution, what is required from the device makers, government, and the industry at large?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I would, first of all, thank to Sujit for having me on this panel. It's a very interesting topic that we have today. And I think, the pace of innovation has really changed and increased a lot in the last 2-3 years. And what we have seen in the COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen the digital revolution and the digital adaptation of technologies has really grown very fast in the last 1 to 2 years. And what has, I think what the ingredient which really we need to think about is we need to continue to have a mindset of innovation. I think that's mindset itself is very, very important ingredient that we need to have for this, continuous innovation and changing, shortening life cycles of technology. And therefore, to do this, R&D investments, I think need to be huge because, technology, we are talking about the cutting edge technology. 5G itself is, the next big thing, which has already happened elsewhere. But as you said, in India, it will happen maybe next year. So these are all, very new technologies, and for that, R&D investments have to be there. So I think these two aspects are important for us to, ride this curve, ride this wave. And I think certain things which are required from ecosystem players and industry players. One is of course the 5G spectrum itself. If we have to really have a chance of, deploying 5G next year, I think the ecosystem players need to come together, including the government and the telcos and so on. I think that's a very important aspect that we need to think about. And secondly, we have, we always hear about topics like security and data privacy. I think such things we also need to think, kind of clarify, and maybe these things need to get matured. And next thing is about IoT networks itself. 5G will not only not only about speed, but also it is going to enable a lot of devices to become connected, which is essentially IoT. So for this, to happen, the IoT devices should be able to interconnect to make more sense. So the protocols need to get standardized, right? So these are some aspects which I think all the industry players need to think about, right, and work towards. And finally, I would talk about startups. I think that is the biggest. We hear about startups so much these days in India, having so many tens of unicorns. So once the 5G is deployed, I think startups will unleash a new wave of innovation from the startups. Right now, they are working really essentially on 4G, but once the 5G happens, I think Indian startups will have a new thought process, which will create a new application which we don't even know about right now. So I think all these aspects will, excite us to, ride this wave of technology.
Okay. You mentioned everybody needs to come together for the spectrum part of it. What is the problem there? I mean,
so spectrum, right now, what I understand is the spectrum pricing is a bit high. So which doesn't really make enough sense for the telcos to, pitch in. So I think once, and I think everyone is working together to ensure that it works, it works fine for everyone. So once that is reconciled, I think that issue will be solved, and then we can see some light of the day.
Okay. Tarun, you want to come in here? I mean, same question. I mean, how does the industry need to prepare itself for enabling the requisite 5G infrastructure and supply ecosystem?
Yeah, definitely. I think Anku has summarized this nicely. So let us go back a bit and try to understand what's the 5G value chain looks like. So if you look at, it's quite broad, right? If you look at any tech transition, that brings a lot of opportunities for every player in the supply chain. So 5G value chain, if we look at right now, it goes from the components right up till the consumers, right? So you have the component piece of it. On top of it, you have devices that are built on top of components, and then you have connectivity piece. Of course, you need connectivity to bring into those devices, and then what happens is you have infrastructure providers in middle of it that is playing a very, very key role. And then of course the content on top of it, because you're not just doing a calling on top of it, so you have content on top of it. And then security, right? So of course you need to look into the security part of it, which is equally very, very important. So I think if you look at all these value chain is very well connected. Each and every pie has its role to play here. And if you dissect each and every part of this value chain, there must be 20 odd players, very significant players who have a very critical role to shape up this entire value chain, right from the component till the IP testing, what we are seeing here. So everything needs to come together, because 5G impact is not going to have only on the consumer side. There is a if you look at the enterprise side to it, which is even more lucrative. So operators will not look at it only from the consumer point of view. You'll have like enterprise, and then of course the devices will be one part of it. There will be other, like Anku mentioned, you have regulations, you have standards, you have testing that needs to be come together. So each and everything needs to become together, and it's more complex, right? Because 5G, you have almost a decade of difference between each tech transition. We had 3 decades back, 2G, 1990s we are talking, then 3G came into picture 2000, then 4G in 2010, and 2020 we have 5G. But India's trajectory is even more different. Like after 4 years of 4G, first 4G network, India, we have seen 4G entering in India, but 5G is almost like 2 years. So the transition has been even faster. And what we are seeing right now is very different trend. The device ecosystem has preceded the technology ramp up. by quite a bit. So we are seeing, as per Counterpoint research, by the time the first 5G network will be lit up in India, we might have already 30 to 40 million of 5G handsets already installed in the market. So you can't just play in a silo. You need to have this entire ecosystem in play. And of course, we have device maker in this panel. We have Mediatek. So yeah, they can add more value on top of it. So that was a very quick overview on that will give you a.
So in this entire chain, the weakest links are what? The network, is it?
So network, actually, if you look at it, has to be the strongest link, right? So the weakest, it's not, like I said, it has to run in parallel, right? So even if like securities, you have like platform, you have like data analytics on top of it. There are companies, you have the companies running on the cloud, which are driving cloud infrastructure as well. So I don't think there will be any weak, but if you look at right now, everything is starting, right? So we can't say right now if there is any weak link to it, but of course, we can say that the network rollout has lagged a bit. It should have happened so far because the overall the device ecosystem has become more mature. So that's the area we could have like preceded by almost an year or so. That would have helped India. For sure, but of course we still have a lot of time to look into this transition.
But since you and Anku both mentioned that the devices ecosystem is kind of ready, Tasleem, what are people doing with your 5G phones now? I mean, you are already selling a lot of OPPO phones with 5G capabilities and all that. So what are they doing with it?
First of all, thanks, Sujit, for having me in this webinar. So yeah, you correctly mentioned, because OPPO as a 5G pioneer, we are trying from the 2019, where we had launched our first 5G devices in the Europe and other region. And when we go through and analyze the insight of those users, we found that the video consumption is increased a lot. Now, earlier people are more used to of taking the images. Now they are creating the short videos. So user behavior itself is changing. And as the other mentioned, that earlier this network was not the weakest, but it was the bottleneck, because till now all the devices innovation was happening on the hardware side. But to enable the software innovation, you need to have the strong bandwidth. And that is solved with the 5G, because that will enable you to do your AI algorithm, which is based on the cloud computing, heavy cloud computing calculation you can do. And that will enable the software side to do more innovation and come up with the services that will help not only to build the ecosystem, but also extra revenue for the operator. So as Anku mentioned that the discussion was going on for the 5G from last 1.5 years, but the operator was not ready because there was no ecosystem to get back whatever the money they are putting on the license. But recently government had given that trial license, and we OPPO are closely working with the operator. We OPPO India also conducted 5G standalone network trial for our Reno 6 series in collaboration with Jio. Not only this, along with the Airtel, also we had done our NSA plus DSS trial in the Hyderabad. So we are seeing that now the operators also having the roadmap that how to get how to build the ecosystem and what are the services need to build to get the users on the 5G and get all the revenue.
Okay. Shilpa?
Yeah. Kuldeep, coming to you, customized consumer experiences requires brands to tailor smartphone features like AI, multimedia, camera, etc. How do systems on chip enable optimum combination of connectivity, multimedia, AI, and imaging innovation? If you can just take us through that.
Sure. First of all, thanks for giving me this opportunity to be part of this forum. I think right now what is happening is the customization is basically the core, and especially if this new generation, they really believe that there should be a special customization for their usage based on their usage. And what we have seen is that outstanding flagship and premium 5G smartphone does stand out. So people are willing to pay more if you have more premium 5G or premium features in your devices, like gaming experience. Then consumer basically are willing to pay more, and they also have demands with respect to unique experiences and features, and they believe that's are tailored for their usage. So it brings a value to them. That's a kind of an experience for them, and they want novel multimedia features, unmatched performance. They don't want to compromise, and they want brilliant imaging solution. And more synergy between the smartphone and services. So that's why MediaTek designed this, what we call DORA, which is Dimensity 5G Open Resource Architecture. Is basically access to more customized consumer experience and providing closer to the metal access. You are as close to the chip. So that's where the Dimensity 900, 1200 chipset enable our OEM partners to bring more advanced features in AI, multimedia, and camera. So this is what we say. It is almost as close to customizing the chip according to the user behavior, customized user behavior. And that's where key enhancement like AI color boost, technology, AI resolution boost, smart ambient display, which is very important because the display needs to adopt according to the lighting around you. So these are all new features or new innovations which the generation seeks out. So that's where we believe the DORA architecture for multimedia experience, hybrid multiprocessing, AI processing will bring in more value add to the consumers, which they are willing to or they're hungry for.
So these customizations are for different user segments, is it, or very more or individualized?
Basically, like for example, I can say MediaTek had their own. We had our own. We called gaming based G series chipset. So what we do is we bring more kind of a GPU performances fine tuned for the consumers. What happens is they don't want any delay. So for example, you are in an action game and you are fighting your enemy. You don't want to miss any nanosecond because it's very crucial. Before the bullets hit you, you know that you're already dead. So they don't want any lags. So these kind of a unique experience we call customized according to the user generation. And with respect to last 2-year lockdowns and all, we have seen huge kind of interest or usage behavior in terms of gaming. The gaming scenario has really picked up.
Okay. Anku, you want to add to that? What kind of newer features are you bringing, MediaTek?
Yeah, I think Kuldeep has really summarized it quite well. What really need to do is we are observing consumer behavior. So what we do, what we try to innovate in is the kind of features that a consumer wants. So gaming is one example, which is a good example where we have seen in the last 2 years the gaming uptake has really increased. So the new generation has really picked up on it, right? And secondly, we are looking at things like 5G, as I mentioned earlier. So that is something which we feel has a great future. And I think Tarun mentioned that it's not only about smartphones, it's also about the overall, many other devices, including things like Industry 4.0. So we will have more and more devices which are powered by 5G. So, what we have to do is we have to ensure that we don't just create a technology which is as is not very useful, but we have to see what is the use case. So we have seen the use cases coming up in Industry 4.0 in the consumer behavior. And that's where we focus on and try to create more and more innovative features and more bang for the buck.
How big is Industry 4.0 in India?
That maybe I don't have.
I mean, in terms of growth and all that, a lot of people beginning to look at it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's is going to be the next. It is already a big thing because Industry 4.0. What it does is it helps to optimize the manufacturing process or the operations of the factories and so on by using sensors and connectivity. So it's already something which is essential, because if you don't have that, it's not like a fashion, right? It is actually something which is essential to remain competitive. So if a factory doesn't have Industry 4.0 components, then it cannot really compete globally, and because it may not be optimized or so it is growing quite fast, and I think 5G will give the next big fillip to it, and I think it will grow much faster because of the one big feature of 5G is the latency is very low. So it is going to have more immediate connectivity between the different components which are being used in the industry, in the factories.
Okay.
So the growth is quite fast. Yeah.
Okay.
We have some audience questions coming in. This is from Reeti Mehta. Apart from smartphones and laptops, what are some of the other devices that drive 5G chip demand?
Okay. He just mentioned. Anku just mentioned.
Yeah. So I'll mention one more point about this, which I did not mention earlier. It's about the rural connectivity. I think in the cities we do not really find the lack of connectivity here because we have all broadband. But a lot of villages don't have that, right? And I think once 5G is in place, we will have fixed wireless access capabilities, right, which can actually have good connectivity for the villages. So because right now it may not be economically feasible to lay the fiber to all those various villages, but once we have the wireless access of 5G there, they will have broadband access, and I think that is, connectivity is a kind of a fundamental right now. So that is something which has to be given. So that will be a big change, not only about smartphones, but I thought about Industry 4.0, but also about this connectivity, in the whole country. So that'll be great.
Of course, and then we have new generation of cars coming in with all those 5G features.
Yeah.
Even
exciting. Sorry, Tasleem?
Yeah, even from the smartphone side, we are seeing that we are witnessing the 100% growth once we launch the 5G device in the Q1 for Renault 5 Pro. We had 100% growth from the first quarter. Even the new model which we launched, Renault 6 Pro, even in the first day, it was almost 178% growth. So these numbers shows that people are buying the 5G device and they want to be the 5G ready.
Correct.
Because 5G doesn't mean only the network, but because it has come up with the other features also. Like recently we had in the 5G devices, Renault 6 Pro, we had on many video features also. So overall, the full package. So now consumers are more willing to buy which devices which are 5G ready.
Video must be really big. Now, what do people do with all the video? I mean, they just shoot the videos. They just want good quality resolutions and all that, or a lot more.
The trend is showing that people are more creating the short videos.
Short videos,
That's why a lot of innovation is happening around the videos only. And that is one of the reason in Renault 6 Pro, we are launching industry first bouquet flare portrait video feature, where user can have very advanced video capture. And along with that, there's new feature AI video highlight also we are adding on. So a lot of innovation in the software is going around the video. If you see 2 years back, more innovation, AI innovation was happening on the images, but now trend is towards the video, because earlier the bottleneck was the network, which is going to solve with the 5G.
Okay.
So Sujit, after video, what is this? Sujit, about your question about the videos, even I was, kind of surprised why there are so many videos around, right? I think why that has happened is it is due to user-generated content. So earlier, if you see 5 years ago, I mean, none of us would have shot a video and uploaded it somewhere. But with the social media thing happening, right, with Instagram and Facebook and everything, people like to shoot videos, so that user-generated content is in billions of units or whatever, right? So that is what is kind of pushing the video usage, and also it needs the good devices like you mentioned, and also it needs a good network. So that behavior change of consumers, especially the new generation, I would say.
Very true.
Yeah,
I mean, Facebook,
really
I've been noticing. Yeah, Facebook, exactly. I mean, a number of these places, short videos, funny videos, which are shoot for a little while. Very interesting. I know.
One of the reason why is that earlier all this edit feature was only there for the images. Now a lot of features are there, which is we can apply on the video. That is also the reason.
Well, apart from video, what would be the next big usage, you think?
See, major thing is on the computing side with the 5G, which is because it is the AI is all depend upon how good you have in the sample. And to sample, you need to know how big is your bandwidth. So with the AI, you have the interconnectivity between the devices. So the sample, the data input for the for recommendation, the data size is going to increase. And when the data size is there, the heavy computing we will do on top of that, and that will help us to give the more recommendation. So you can see down the line service with the advanced recommendation will be more popular.
Okay.
And
Tarun, you want to add to that?
Yeah. So actually, video is a very broad category. So what we believe that there are further segmentations going forward in terms of even video. So if you look at video as an entire category on top of it, think about a future where video will be further segmented, like multi-view live video, like people are watching something live, right? So that is one. Then you have again even the resolution within video, like 4K or 8K video. So that's again one segment of it that only 5G will enable, because the point is the user behavior is changing, because there is an equal and opposite pull from the other side, which is the network, and the speeds are getting better and better. And of course the 5G will unlock different opportunities on top of it. think about a lot of the startups who will build on top of it, can make video into a very, very good business opportunity. Like China, you have seen the commerce has changed significantly. People are buying on the live streams, and then people are like, if you look at the way the e-commerce is happening there, is changing significantly. And I don't see any reason why that will not happen in India. Think about a lot of people upload their business products on Facebook pages or Instagram or something. Now think of it as a 1 year, 2 years down the line, they'll come on live, show their products, and the live sale is happening right away because your network and bandwidth will allow that particular business case. And even on top of it, then you'll have another enterprise video calling, right? We have seen how, take example of Zoom, right? And how they are further building on top of it by acquisition of G5 and all. So all there are very smaller and subset ecosystem that are developing on top of it. So if you segment video, we believe that there will be 10 or 15 use cases that will emerge on top of it. You multiply by 3 or 4 companies that will leverage it and grow into $1 billion company. So the point is, that's the beauty of the tech transition. You can't really anticipate what is going to happen. So 10 years back, we were sitting, and has anyone thought like a thing like Airbnb or Uber or Ola, something will transition entirely how the this thing works? So that is going to happen, and I think the network will be a part of it. Then there will be use cases on top of it, and how they are going to be leveraged. There will be a consumer and enterprise piece on top of it, and of course, video will be one of a very, very critical factor. Another thing, I think gaming, like I think Kuldeep mentioned, is very important category to keep an eye on, because India has one of the like in terms of population, like young population who are driving this entire gaming culture. And we have seen early success with a lot of these companies on the gaming side. And imagine a scenario when your latency has dropped to almost like 1 millisecond, and then your bandwidth increases. So think of it about X and Y axis. You have like bandwidth that goes up, latency that drops, and then what will be the kind of the gaming infrastructure that can be developed on top of it. So of course the devices will amplify on top of it. So yes, I think the future is very interesting. Like I said, it has to be an ecosystem approach that will be driven by a lot of players in this value chain to unlock this opportunity going forward. So yeah.
Okay. Obviously, very interesting topic. We're already getting a lot of audience questions. This is related to what we were just discussing. And in some ways, you already answered the question. But Shivanand Kambli asking, most Indians skipped 3G and leapt into 4G directly around 2016 because a network provider brought in revolutionary free data offerings and shattered the existing market. What is that landmark movement required for 5G adoption? Who wants to take that? Tarun, you want to go first?
The 5G deployment itself, that
has to first happen.
Right. I think that once that happens, strangely, the other parts of the jigsaw puzzle are already in place. We have the handsets and so on. So I think once the network is there, I think we should be there. We should be on it.
Okay.
Yeah. And India is going to be very interesting market. So one thing is for sure, like unlike 3G, 4G is going to stay here. So I'll say like for the next 10 years, 4G is not going anywhere. So it will be a like mix of 4G and 5G going forward. And of course, we'll see even in some of the countries, 2G is they are setting up 2G and 3G networks. But I believe 2G is likely to stay here in India as well. That's again the question of maths and economics on top of it, which operators need to take a call on. But I think, and it's a very relevant question, like if you look at 4G and 5G will work together in parallel, and I think that is going to stay for 4G is going to stay for another decade for sure.
And I think one more point is that affordability of the 5G devices. Because now earlier when the 5G started, it was very expensive. Now as a OPPO, if you see in 2021, we had almost launched 6 5G devices. And we believe that unless we take this 5G technology in the mass segment, we cannot get the proper feedback. So we are going to take this 5G devices to scale in the mass segment also.
What is the lowest price one right now?
So that
13,000.
13,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay.
also the technology side, because if you see, there are a lot of technology inside in the 5G itself, like SA, NSC, and DSS, that enable the smartphone device to support both 4G and 5G, and also in the affordable price. And the other challenge which the smartphone industry is facing in the 5G is the battery. Because as Tarun mentioned that bandwidth increase, latency down, but the power consumption is increasing. So we are seeing a lot of innovation is happening around the battery, because as a OPPO as a expert in the battery, we had come up with a lot of innovation we had done in the battery side, like smart battery, where we try to minimize the impact of this 5G network on the smartphone. So with the advantage, it has some other challenges also, which we need to improve and need to innovate and solve those challenges.
Okay. Okay. Shilpa?
Yeah, we have some audience questions. This is from Saurav Kar. What do you think of the future of chipset manufacturing in India? And how important is it for the 5G ecosystem in the country? Partly answered.
You broke up a little, Shilpa, but
So
I
this
think
is from Saurav Kar. What do you think will be the future of the chipset manufacturing in India? And how important is it for the 5G ecosystem in the country?
Anku, you want to go?
Okay, yeah, sure. Let me go for that. So yeah, I think chipset manufacturing has been a dream for all the Indians and also the government of India. And so at this time, I think they're quite serious about making it happen and giving a lot of SOPs to the potential manufacturers to set up shop here. So I hope it happens soon. And I think it's not only for 5G. It is, I think, for the whole overall strategic advantage. I think it's something that we need to do, because we have seen in the last 2 years that we have had a chip shortage and so on, and we cannot depend on other geographies for sort of critical component, right? So now if we have chip manufacturing in India itself, then we don't really need to depend on the things which we are not in our control. Some countries can just stop it. So I think this is something which has to be done, so it's a strategic advantage. Secondly, it is important because also it is a lot of forex outflow. So it's, I think, first or second after oil. So that is the amount of semiconductor we consume in India. So once we have the manufacturing facilities in India, I think that kind of outflow will go down. So it has to happen. And I think now this time the government is quite serious about it. So it should happen soon. But it's not really exactly for the 5G. It is for the overall semiconductor industry, including TVs and speakers and whatever needs a semiconductor. It will help everyone.
Okay. Yeah, go on, Shilpa.
Yeah, there's this question to Tarun. How is the 5G device ecosystem shaping in India beyond the smartphones? This is from Ashwani Gupta.
Unfortunately, it's all about 5G smartphones as of now. So if you look at, of course, there will be like a bit on the IoT modules as well, but it's a very small fraction of it. But from the smartphone side, if you look at, we recently concluded our Q2 research and found that in Q2, 14% of the total smartphones sold were actually a 5G phone. So, and this traction is actually very faster than what was there in the 4G days. We already have 11 players who are coming up, who are already coming up with 5G devices. We have almost 66 active 5G devices in the country right now. And that the entire devices landscape is going to even grow further. And we believe that if you look at the first 5 years of the 4G versus 5G devices will cumulatively surpass 4G. And Tasleem mentioned, like, one of the biggest factor here is the pricing of the devices. So last year, the average selling price of a 5G device was $660. That has come down to $530. And of course, the cheapest 5G right now is available at $13,999. And I'm sure, like, by end of Diwali, the big question is, can we see the sub 10K smartphone in India. But apart from smartphone, I think the other categories to keep an eye on, of course, the tablet side of it, the laptops, and then we can look into the routers. Of course, that is again very much dependent on the deployment, because the other devices are very enterprise driven. So if the networks come into picture, then only that option starts picking, and that is very different from the consumer centric devices. So we believe that apart from smartphones, the other consumer centric devices will pick up even prior to the network, which includes the laptop, tablets, or and some of these routers or so.
Well, what about other industries, Tarun?
Yeah, so industries are, I think automotive is one that is going to keep, we are keeping a closer eye on. So for example, it's all about the bandwidth versus latency. So if you look at the manufacturing, healthcare, agriculture, and retail, so these four we believe are the predominantly the main enterprise opportunities. And even if you look at from the in each of these verticals, the deployment is also dependent on your infrastructure as well. So in 5G, like we say, one of the biggest use case will be a private 5G networks, right? So they will have their own network. So that can only happen when these devices come in tandem with the infrastructure as well. So I think that's the reason. Now, once the network is going live, then the enterprise push will be even more aggressive. But as of now, it doesn't, and it is costly, right? Your capex will go up on top of it, and it's very different from what is happening on the consumer side. So that's why the enterprises are playing a wait and watch game on that. But once the network is here, we believe that enterprise is one category that will grow up really, really fast.
Okay. Kuldeep, AR, VR and all that, I guess that should get a big boost from 5G, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think we have touched some points of them during our discussion, but I think like gaming is, I again come back to the gaming, sorry for that, but that's a big topic. So I think all these AR, VR gives a very immersive feeling. You feel like you are inside the game. And when you have a low latency, you almost feel like a real world scenario. So I think smartphone gaming is a booming segment, already booming, and a lot of surveys keep saying those numbers. But I think globally, the numbers are staggering. We talk about 70s billion, and I think it's projected to 153 billion. And also the CAGR is pretty impressive, 11.5% over the period of 2020 to 2027. And I think all these features will get further boost because of this Wi-Fi 6 and 5G connectivity. So I think all those experience will bring into your next level experience. So I think at Mediatek also we are developing the low power TAC G series enable faster processing. Also, we have already seen the huge adoption and good performance feedback from the market in our gaming series. And I think innovative, we have our own hyper engine technology inside the gaming chipset, which basically brings in all those required features to give added advantage or a unique experience while you are gaming. So I think rapid gameplay, of brilliant picture quality, and you also need not to worry about battery because we do all those optimization. And while gaming, you also don't want to get bothered by incoming calls. So we also smartly take care of that. So all these features are being taken care of. But in the coming time, like I said, AR/VR with 5G and Wi-Fi 6 are going to take it to the next level.
Yeah, for
Okay.
ARVR, I have a point to make that I think ARVR will take still some time away. So it'll be actually driven by
what is some time away? Sorry,
AR and VR, because it'll be. I feel personally that it'll be driven by consumer enterprise consumption first. So if so, let's say a car company wants to simulate how do you assemble some component, right? Now that can be simulated using a VR device. Right now, but that device is quite costly. So that is kind of something which is can be afforded by an enterprise. But for it to really get unleashed, it has to be adopted by the end consumer. People like us. That'll still take some time to be adopted. But it'll be driven by enterprise first. So maybe the next few years, enterprise will really make use of AR and VR for simulation and for training and so on. And then I think end users may also get it eventually.
I think, for example, if you go. Yeah, for example, if you go inside a shop and right now you experience by changing, go and take the clothes in the change room. But maybe in the coming future, enterprise will set up a small kiosk. You just wear that VR on your head and just select the dress and you will have your own live experience. So all that retail experience can also be there in the coming time.
Okay. Shilpa?
Yeah, we have this question from Anudeep Rangan. Can the current set of smartphone apps make use of the complete capabilities of the 5G chipsets? If not, what changes are needed in the app development?
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Who wants to take that?
yeah, we'll take that.
Tasleem, maybe.
Yeah, sure, Tasleem. I think Tasleem. Okay.
So
And
from the
Kuldeep.
app side, there will be no issue in that if they are going to, because this is just an enabler. So if they are going to use cloud computing, heavy cloud computing, then 5G will help them to go proper to fast computing that one. So it will to for in the application side, whatever they are doing offline computing, this will help them to do in the cloud computing, and that will help to expand their future. So it's all depend upon how they have designed it. That will enable the apps to go from offline to the online computing.
Okay. Kuldeep, you wanted to add something?
I think with respect to app, I will not be able to comment, but I think once the operator decides their bands and features detail, I think we should have a much more clarity. But based on what we have experienced so far in the global world, we already have done compliance with global operators. We have done the field trials with majority of the operators, global operators. So far, we have been able to, fully manage or customize our chipset according to the global 5G network. Hopefully, once India launch 5G, we should not be having too much trouble. Of course, we will work with our partners to fine tune and customize in case required.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for the application, maybe I can add a bit on that. The question is, how will the app leverage the 5G stuff, right? So I think that is a question which is, it'll be actually driven by the startups, I feel, because, the startups are the ones who will innovate, and given the bandwidth and the low latency and so on, I think they will try to create a use case for the application, which is leveraging those things. So as, Tarun mentioned earlier, Uber and all these things did not happen before 4G. I mean, on 3G, these things just don't work. Now, once 4G came in, I think the startups were able to imagine the use cases and then use those, and then leverage 4G at that time. Similarly, I think now once 5G is in place, and that's why it should happen soon, I think the startups will be able to figure out the apps which can make them money, but also leverage 5G. So that is something which will happen, and more and more. Right now, we don't even know how much can it be leveraged.
Okay.
So
in places like Korea and I don't know, wherever which has adopted 5G in a big way, can you recollect any interesting applications?
So it's mostly about I think social media consumption, videos, and all those things. Yeah.
Is it?
Mostly that? Yeah.
Yeah, and Sujit, one more point. Like, I think that's a very good question. So if you look at from the developer side, so there are two challenges what developers will be facing. One is to upgrade the existing app. So imagine a scenario if the device form factor changes. Like, since Tasleem is here, I'll give an example of OPPO X foldable, right? So rollable, sorry. So how the app UI will change if the device's form factor will change, because that has also been, if you look at the research in the past, with every tech transition, the consumption in the changes in the terms of device also happen significantly. Like 2G was all about the keypads, and then 3G, 4G came into picture. It was all about like touch, and then the input mechanism will change. So your input mechanism might change from touch to, let's say, voice, right? And if that is happening, then developers will have, of course, the devices will change, developers will ramp up or change their apps accordingly. So that is one point of it. The other is how the new apps will be generated. So for example, they will unleash the power of the 5G. So for example, right now on your maps, you can see a certain functionalities. What 5G will do, it maybe, let's say, holographics or something on top of it. So you'll say all these apps will fundamentally change in the way you interact with these apps. So that's a big opportunity for the developers as well. And then it's a chicken and egg problem. So they will keep an eye on the device ecosystem and vice versa, how much of that adoption is happening. But I think that's a very relevant question, because we are nothing apart from the overall app ecosystem. If you look at the 4G connectivity and deployment and everything, the acceleration is because there were certain apps that those were leveraged during that time. And I'm sure like 5G will be even better.
Okay, interesting. Tasleem, are startups coming to you, asking you to test some of these newer kind of things that may become possible?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, we are trying to build that IoT ecosystem where the startups play the critical role, because they are the team who do the lot of innovation around the new technology. So every month we have that startup event where we invite those startups who are working on these new latest technology, either in the IoT or the video part, and then we try to give them platform, because they have the limitation of they don't have the devices and all. So we support them not only on technology wise, but also providing them device so that they can do their experiment on that. And if it's their experiment and their output is aligned with our commercial, then we give them platform, a path to showcase their device, their solution to our consumer. So that way we are supporting the startup ecosystem, and we are seeing that lot of new startups on the IoT, they are coming up.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, Shilpa.
We have this question from Yatin Panwar. What is the environmental impact of 5G? Is it positive or negative?
I can take it.
Especially in terms of
Okay. So actually, there is a lot of these questions, like what will happen once the 5G, the impact of 5G. So for example, again, it goes back to a little bit understanding of, like, if you look at the entire electromagnetic spectrum, right, it can be divided into non-ionizing versus ionizing, right? Non-ionizing, you have like radio, microwave, mobile, that comes into non-ionizing. And of course, the ionizing, which includes your X-rays or gamma rays. So the mobile actually is a part of non-ionizing, which means radio waves lack sufficient energy to break your DNA and cause cellular damage. So the point is, there has been a lot of studies actually that has happened in the past, and each and every study falls conclusive to basically tell you whether it's a harmful to the environment or to the humans. So I think if you look at read a couple of these white papers that are coming from the International Commission on Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection, they set the guidelines. There is a lot of empirical evidences that none of this is likely to happen. So eventually, if you look at what is happening, is mobile at the higher bandwidth has, even the more you go higher, the lesser they have the capability to impact you even more. So I believe is very, very negligible, and we don't see any major impact on that, because the deployment in 5G is entirely different from your traditional technology deployments. Even the 5G deployments, like in millimeter wave, the deployment will happen like, let's say, from the beamforming technologies and all. Those have very, very less implication basically to impact you directly from the waves or so. So that's a couple of pointers on that.
Okay, nothing to worry about. Yeah, I think Britain saw some damage to towers and all that, but I think all's calmed down, I suspect. Anku, I mean, your R&D center in India specifically, I mean, some of the newer things that they are working on.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, that's, we have been, as I said earlier, that we are in India for last 17 years. Our R&D has been there for last 17 years. And right now we are in Mumbai, Bangalore, and Noida. So we have 3 R&D centers, and more than 700 R&D engineers are working for us. So what we are doing is, we have kind of 2-pronged approach. One is that we are part of the global R&D. So, we are innovating on 5G or Wi-Fi 6 and so on, whatever new technologies.
Did we lose Anku? Yeah, I think Anku's connection is a problem. No, not mine.
Yeah.
Anku? No.
Sujit, I have this question for Tasleem. Can I go ahead?
Yeah. Anku, we can't hear you.
What kind of...
Okay.
Okay, Anku, you're back now. Yeah. Some problem with the...
Okay. So is it okay now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it sounds okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know where I left, but we have 3 R&D centers in India, and close to 700 plus R&D engineers. So we are doing two things. One is we are extension of the global R&D that is happening for Mediatek worldwide. So overall in Mediatek, we have over 16,000 employees overall in the different countries. And we are doing global R&D, and also we are doing a lot of local support. So for example, we have very good partners like OPPO and others whom we are supporting for their R&D requirements. So and also we are supporting the new upcoming OEMs in India as well. We have a lot of Make in, to do the Make in India initiative. A lot of companies are being set up in India who are working on digital equipment, like security cameras and VADs and so on. So, there are a lot of things they are trying to work on. So we support them. So the other kind of things which we are doing, which is going to help in the R&D for India as well as globally. Okay. And I would like to just also add that it was touched upon earlier, but we have a very diverse portfolio of products. So we have smartphones, smart TVs, set-top boxes, VADs, smart speakers, right? Tablets, Chromebooks. That's a big segment now. So all these different verticals are being powered by Mediatek, and Mediatek is powering. You'll be shocked to hear the numbers: 2 billion devices per year. So it's 2 billion, right? That's a very big number. So that is the kind of impact we are making in the digital revolution in India and elsewhere. So that's where we are, and I think this trend will continue. And we have been investing close to 25% of the revenue in R&D. So last year our revenue was $10.9 billion, and out of that about $2.6 billion were put back in R&D. So that's the kind of effort we are making, so that we are continually staying ahead of the curve and innovating for new technologies. So for example, as example, like 5G, we are talking now, but the R&D has been happening for the past 4-5 years. So it's a long drawn process. So we are working on the next technology and not Wi-Fi 6 and all that. So it's a great journey, and hopefully we'll continue to do this going on.
Okay, fascinating. Shilpa, you were saying you were asking a question. Shilpa?
Yeah, we had this question for hello, can you hear me, Sujit? Hello.
Little problem, but we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, great. This question is for Tasleem. What kind of products and feature innovations are 5G chipsets driving? Can you tell us from your R&D experience with OPPO phones? This is from Sonal Desai.
Yeah, so as we said, we started that due to 5G, lot of innovation is going around the AI on the video, or AI on the system performance or the battery performance. So major two things I can pull it is, one is the video, where a lot of new innovation, like recently we launched bouquet flare featured in the Reno 6 Pro. Along with that, we had launched AI auto video focus. Along with that, in the battery side also, because these are the two major things. In the battery side also, we had done a lot of AI innovation, where we'd come up with the smart battery, where we switch the spectrum. We had introduced the DSS with our partner, where we can dynamically switch the spectrum to save the battery. So majorly on the video and the battery are the two major pain point or the two major vertical, where we are doing a lot of innovation to support the 5G consumers demand.
How long are batteries lasting now with 5G kind of video usage and stuff?
We can say that if you're using OPPO, you will not face any battery problem.
And Tasleem, make in India. I mean, how much of it all is being done out of India? Your devices.
So all the devices which we launch in India, mostly from the production till the software part, we take it in the India. So we had done heavy investment in the manufacturing in the Noida, Greater Noida. And for the R&D, we started in 2018, this one. So all the products which we launch in India, from the production till the software, and also the after sales support, all done by the India only.
Okay. But some components and all you might be importing, right?
For components also, we had built the component ecosystem in the Greater Noida, where we invited all the different vendor of the components to come on board, and we have provided them as a space where they are manufacturing the components and giving it to us. So from top to bottom, including the components, we are building that ecosystem.
Oh, really? What percentage can you say, or how much of it is indigenized in some sense?
So most of the consumption in the component, we have planned that by next 1 or 2 years, we'll have all from our local, the ecosystem which we are building it.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's the plan.
Tarun, I mean, generally speaking, in the mobile ecosystem, how much of indigenization happening?
Yeah, so it's a pretty broad topic. So if you look at from the component, there are more than 300 odd components that goes into phones, right? So right now, how Counterpoint defines as a true local value addition, which means even if you are making a charger in India, what are your sub components that are you are bringing in here? So for example, let's say battery, right? So you can prepare battery cells, you can source battery packs from India, but battery cells still needs to be imported. So there are a lot of sub-components that we are still relying on China. So almost 12% of the components currently we source from India, like the larger one in terms of their value basically. But the larger ones, like for example, SoCs, like Kuldeep mentioned, we don't have foundry, we don't have display, we don't have fabs, we don't have like chipset manufacturing here yet. Then you have camera modules. We have started like these companies are coming, but mostly on the assembling and testing side of it. But the contribution of that is still low. But we are taking a very good step in that direction. I think PLI is a very good initiative in that direction that will help us to actually increase this value addition from 12% to maybe 25 to 28% in coming years, as compared to India is still better. Right now, China is doing almost like 55-60% local sourcing and self-dependent. All other regions, if you look at, if I'm not wrong, Brazil comes closer with almost like 20-22%. You have Vietnam where you can locally source 30%. Or the beauty of this is in this globalized era, you are dependent on each and every country, right? So you look at Japanese, they have their own skill set, right? So you look at the Taiwanese, they have their own, from the foundries to everything. And then the Koreans, very good on the fab and the memory side of it. So the point is, it's very diversified, but we are taking those baby steps to at least localize those subcomponents here in India. But answer to that question is currently 12 to 14% can be localized here in India. Rest 86% we are either largely dependent on China, and then of course the other countries like Vietnam and Taiwan or Japan from that perspective.
Okay. Shilpa?
Yeah, we have this question from Ankita Rawat. What will be the future of smart homes with the rise of 5G technology?
Mm-hmm. Smart homes. You are there, no? Mediatek is also does smart homes, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah, smart homes, we have, so what do you see in the smart home? It is maybe a bulb, right? Smart bulb or a smart TV or a connected set-top box, right? And, all these devices are actually powered by Mediatek. So we are actually very close to, the smart home revolution itself. So in fact, we say that smartphones, smart homes, and automotive, these are three big verticals that, Mediatek deals in. So everything,
smartphone, smart homes
and the automotive. Yeah. So that's the next, big thing which is coming up. So we are in, Amazon Echo Dot, Amazon Fire TV Stick, right? And so all these things are what is making the home smart. And also we have, smart plugs, for example, right? So you can actually have a plug in which you can insert your device, and you can switch on a plug from wherever you are. So such things are what is making the home smart.
Becoming more and more affordable?
Very affordable, yes. So I think it's getting mainstream, and with time it'll get even more mainstream.
I think we are already getting a lot of smart locks, fingerprint enabled, Wi-Fi enabled. Even the air conditioners and home equipments are getting Wi-Fi enabled. So I think there's a whole lot of development happening in that around, and it's all about economy of scale. So all these features is gradually built in as a default. So I don't think so it will take much time, because Wi-Fi is now. Yeah.
Kuldeep, even in India, many of these products are being manufactured, is it?
Yes, we have a few companies. For example, Kent, also a very popular name, developed a car monitoring where you have a driver and you install that car monitoring with a camera, and basically you can watch how is he driving, or all those patterns, and you can be secured and all that. So a lot of innovations. Even the ROs are being fitted into this kind of Wi-Fi where you can monitor the performance and how much time before the filters run out. So all these things are coming in. It should not take much time before these things start propagating into the soft spot.
And actually, the beauty of this is that, as an Indian, I would say that, we have a lot of indigenous companies which are coming up. So one good example is VVDN. I think that's a great partner that we have. And they are making security cameras and VADs and so on. I think they're doing a great job. And I think these kind of equipment is going to become more economical, as you mentioned, right? I mean, how affordable they are. Once we have such things being made in India, I think they'll be more mainstream and adopted in India as well. So and I think we have technologies which are the chips which are doing a fabulous job. Like for smart speakers, we're also #1 worldwide, and so we have the economy of scale from chipset point of view, right? So I think once this are adopted in the Indian manufacturing ecosystem, I think we will see more and more.
Okay, we're almost out of time. There's this one question that came early on. Let me just, I'm not sure whether it's a correct. Pranav Sai asking, 5G has two bandwidths, short range and long range. Which bandwidths will India implement and what suits India better? Is that a correct question?
Yeah, it's Tasleem, you want to take it?
Yeah, so actually trial version, already all the operators, they're already doing the trial. So for trial, we have the spectrum is already there, where these operators, Jio and Airtel already done. Like recently we had done trial with the Jio also for SA. But as per the news which is coming up, the Indian government plan to auction 275 megahertz of a spectrum in the range of 3.3 gigahertz to 3.6 gigahertz for all the 5G services. So that's the plan which we are hearing from the different source of news.
Okay.
Plan is that by auction will be happen in the first half of the 2020.
Okay. There's a okay, fine. Wonderful. I mean, this is such an exciting area. I'm not surprised we got so many audience questions as well. All of us, I guess, are looking forward to what 5G can deliver. Any final comments from any of you, Anku? What do you want? You also equally looking forward to it?
So I'm just looking forward for 5G to get adopted in India. That's that's really I think most of us are waiting for that. Because it's going to be a big game changer, in the way we consume data and remote surgery and whatever. There's so many things which can be done with 5G. So I just hope it happens fast.
Yeah. Kuldeep?
I think India has already taken a lead. I think we may be the first country where devices have appropriated first before the services. So I believe we will continue this momentum. And of course, going forward, there will be a lot of killer applications coming from startup, from ecosystem. And once operator starts rolling out, we may be able to see more benefit out of it.
Okay. Tasleem?
Yeah, we are seeing overwhelming response from our consumer for the 5G devices. And also from the last 6 months, we are seeing that operators are very aggressively working on the 5G trial. So I'm sure that things will turn up good in the next year.
Okay. Tarun?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to how the network deployment will happen. So that is very, very interesting phase as well. I'm very, very optimistic about this network deployment, and the timing will make me a little bit cautiously optimistic, I'll say, on that. But yeah, future is really, really bright and a lot of opportunities coming in favor of India through this technology.
Okay, the fiber and all are already laid, is it? Or even that needs to be laid?
So fiberization is a challenge here, but
the challenge.
I think, backhaul is still to be 100%, I think, but it's ongoing on a war level. I think it should be done.
Hopefully. Okay. Great discussion. I think going by the number of audience questions also we got, I mean, it's exciting for all of us. And hopefully, like all of you said, within the next year, we'll begin to see the rollouts and all that. So thanks a lot, Anku. Thanks a lot, Kuldeep, Tasleem, Tarun.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shilpa.
Great questions.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.